Welcome back to the channel today, guys. I have a subject for new photographers that are just getting started doing weddings, maybe about to start doing weddings. So let's jump into this video because I think I've got some information that's really important for you to hear. So let's check it out. Okay, once you get asked that question, you've been coming along in your photography, you've been practicing, you've been shooting with another photographer, you've gone as a second photographer to a few weddings, and you've built up your equipment, and somebody says, hey, can you shoot our wedding? Well, first time people ask you that, I'm sure in complete fear might just sweep over your entire body, because no matter how many times you've shot weddings, that question, because there's one chance to get a wedding. One time, one chance, once, and that's it. No second chances. That's why I want to go over a lot of this in this video. But if you are prepared, now if you just bought a camera 2 weeks ago, this is not the video for you. This is for photographers that are very early in their career, or that have been working for a year or so with a backup photographer, with the #1 photographer on location. So you're familiar with what is going on at weddings. So the first thing you want to do, you want to charge for the wedding. And the reason that is because people don't appreciate anything if it's free. And if you've put some work into this, you've got some investment. Now we're gonna kind of burst your bubble at the end of this video with being able to charge them, but that's okay. Hang with me. I think it's very important. So, charge them $500 or $1,000, and the price is not based on what equipment you have. The price they're paying is for your knowledge. Now, let them know this will be your first wedding. They probably already know that, but be honest with them. Tell them it's my first wedding. I've been working. Show them some of your work that you've done with other photographers, and they're saving a lot of money going with you, but that you do have experience, and that will go a long way. So be ready to show them pictures. So if you can answer that question, yes, that you will shoot their wedding, then let's continue on with this video. Now, this is something I did early in our career. We still do it occasionally, but not near as much, because things have changed so much. Used to, back in the 80s and 90s, when you talked to somebody about doing their wedding, you were face to face with them. Now, a lot of it is just, online, that sort of thing, Facebook, wherever. But if you get a chance and you don't really know the people, go have dinner with them. Take them out to dinner. You don't have to take them to Ruth Chris or anything like that, but just take them to a nice place so you can sit and talk. Get to know them personally. Find out what they are interested in their wedding, because you might have some cool ideas for some cool shots in your head, but that may not be what they have in their head. So you want to go with what they want, not so much with what you want. If that makes sense. So stick with what they want, and that is a chance to get to know them a little better. Just having a meal with them, sitting down. They'll enjoy the meal, enjoy you guys, and just have some fun. And you don't have to spend the entire meal talking about the wedding. I'm sure there'll be some other subjects come up. So your favorite football team, who knows? But make sure the photography comes up for a little bit in there so that you do understand more toward what they want. Now, as far as your equipment goes, personally, I would rather you have 2 or 3 crop sensors than just one full frame. Never go to a wedding with just one camera. I don't care if it's brand new out of the box. Never go to a wedding with just one camera. Never, ever do it. And like I said, I'd rather you take 3 Canon 90Ds than one Canon R6 or Canon R5 Mark II, whatever, because the numbers matter. Something goes wrong, you've got to have a backup, and that's what weddings are all about. Partially, they're about a lot of things, but backups is a huge part of the wedding, and I'll get some more into that as we go. Just make sure that you have cameras, your lenses. You can go with your zooms 24 to 70, 24 to 105. Make sure you have a few primes, like a 35, a 24, or a 50, and an 85. And have a 70 to 210 in there if you want, because those will look good for distant shots away, get a nice background blur. But anyway, just make sure that you're prepared. And if you've already been doing this for a while, you probably are prepared. If you're to the point to where you're ready to shoot a wedding, you should have this part down. So I'm going to leave that as it is. I won't dwell on equipment too much. Now, this fourth thing it's really a pet peeve of mine. Shoot raw. Please, please, please shoot raw. I know there are photographers all over YouTube talking about, oh, you don't need raw, just shoot JPEG. Well, the problem with that is your camera, when you take a picture, your camera processes that JPEG. And you're very limited to what you can do after. If you're a little under, a little over, it's a lot harder to fix than a raw picture. A raw picture just captures the data. So when you're at a wedding and you're moving fast, you're not going to probably be able to nail every exposure dead on. So shoot raw. You can shoot JPEG and raw if you want, but make sure that raw is in there somewhere so that you can get to it when you need it, because you will need it. So make sure that you are shooting raw. Number 5, this is a pretty important one. If you're there early, and you should be there early, I'd be there 20, 30 minutes early, beat everybody there. You want to be the first to leave, probably the first to show up, last to leave. If there are things sitting around, like on the tables, if they've done decorating for the reception, it's already set up, so the reception's set up in one room and the ceremony in another, go around at the reception and shoot tight shots of the cake. Shoot tight shots of the champagne glasses. If there's a question of whether you should take a picture of it or not, go ahead and shoot a picture of it, because it costs you practically nothing. It's all on your memory card, so it's not going to cost you a nickel hardly to shoot a picture of it. Better to have the picture than not to have the picture, because a lot of times they may buy those, or they might want that as a background. You can lay that as a background and lay images over the top of it, and it looks really cool. So shoot if there's a question. If you go, I don't know if I should shoot that or not, go ahead and shoot it. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So let's go with that. Now, number 6, while you're at the wedding, and if you've been working with another photographer for a while, you should know this. Take control of the wedding. I know that there's wedding directors there, but they are mostly controlling the ceremony, showing people where to stand. Now, you will run into occasionally wedding directors who want to be in charge of everything. With the experience, you'll learn how to push them aside a little bit. Let them do their thing at the ceremony. That's theirs. I'm just shooting what all happens. But before the ceremony, after the ceremony, that's mine and my wife's. We shot weddings for 41 years. We're not doing it anymore, but we shot it for 41 years. And you've got to have control of the entire wedding, because you've promised these pictures. Later, all they're going to say are, where are my pictures? Where's my picture of this? Where's my picture of that? They're not going to say, your answer can't be, oh, well, the wedding coordinator told me to go over here. Who cares? Do what the bride and groom want, not what the wedding coordinator wants you to do, okay? Now, I'm not saying be mean to wedding coordinators. Let them do their ceremony thing, and then get to go. I had a very stubborn, for years, wedding coordinator, and finally she got to the point where she's like, she would come up, I'm so glad you're the photographer for today. I can do my part and then leave. I don't have to do everything. I'm like, yes, that's right. You are welcome to leave as soon as the ceremony is over. So that was great, but it will take some time, and you have to spend some time to win these people over to you, because you don't want to come across as rude to anybody. But it's important. You're the guy with the camera. You're the guy getting paid, and get the shots. It's on you, not on your wedding coordinator. Now, this is important. You've heard me say this a lot. Number 7 is backups. When you leave that wedding, you want all the pictures on your memory card. Do not delete your memory card as you go. Save everything on your memory card. Try to have a camera that has 2 memory card slots, and use both card slots to copy everything to both cards. Download them into your computer, and then download them from your computer into an external hard drive. Now, that is just before you leave the wedding. You want to have your backups in that many places, okay? When you get back to your studio, I've got a NAS drive. I upload everything to my NAS drive. On top of everything else, I don't delete memory cards. So backups is the answer. Backups, because anything can happen at any time. All right, number 8. Now, this is going to throw when I said earlier to charge them $500 or $1,000, and you thought you were going to make $500 to $1,000 on this first wedding, sorry, not going to happen. Take that $500 or $1,000 that you got from the bride and groom and get an experienced photographer to go with you. I think you can probably get one. If there's a Saturday that I don't have a wedding, not anymore because we don't do them anymore, but if there was a Saturday that I didn't have a wedding, there was a few times I would go with newer photographers to shoot with them or to watch them to kind of help them learn what to do and what not to do. So sorry, you don't get to keep that $500 or $1,000 that you're charging up front, because you're going to have to turn around and hand that money to an experienced photographer, because this is your reputation. You're not ready to make money yet, okay? Money will come. Experience, reputation is what you're building right now. You'll be very thankful if you had any issues that you had an experienced photographer there with you to help you out of a jam if the problem arises, and it might just arise. So don't worry about making money yet, okay? Pay the other photographer. Number 9, once you get all of the pictures shot, upload them. I use a site called ShootProof. I'll put a screenshot up of ShootProof, and it looks very good. Your clients can go through. They can order the pictures. The pictures go straight to the lab and mail straight to them, and then the money comes directly to you. So you don't ever even see the pictures. You don't get involved. Now, it took me some years to get used to not seeing my pictures, because I started in '83 shooting film, and first thing I did was I was looking at all the pictures to make sure they were right. So you guys that are so used to digital in the last 10, 12 years, you're probably used to this kind of stuff anyway, but I like to be in control. So still, occasionally, I would order the pictures and I would change the address, have them shipped to me, and then I would pay extra money to ship it on to the client just so I could check them, but that's me. I'm just paranoid. So anyway, get a nice site to sell the pictures on, because that's the first thing that's the first time they're going to see their pictures, and you want it to be a nice site. So that shoot-proof site I just showed you is my favorite one. So let's move along. And for 10 and last, this is important. If you're in the USA, you really, really, really need to join the Professional Photographers of America, because they have wedding contracts on there that you can give. Don't do a wedding. I don't care if it's your best friend. I've shot at my best friend's weddings. They signed the contract. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your mom. She signs the contract. I always tell everybody the PPA requires that, and they kind of do, especially if they have the identification insurance, which I did. So if something goes wrong after your wedding, your camera messes up, something you don't know, something gets stolen, whatever can possibly happens, you're covered. The PPA will cover you when you get sued. And not only that, they have the contracts available for download, but they give you the insurance. They are just there for you. PPA.org, I believe, is the website. It's only like $30 a month to join. Join it, guys. It's well worth it. And anyway, if you guys have any questions about getting started into your first wedding, let me know. Like I said, I spent 41 years shooting weddings. We just retired with weddings right after Christmas of this year. So it was long. It was 41 years. I'm getting a little old for those 10, 12-hour weddings, so we're kind of stepping down from those. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment down at the bottom. We will be glad to get back with you. For helping you guys out, give us a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and you guys have a great day. Thank you.